January 2020, after a day full of surgical appointments, I was back home lying on my bed watching YouTube videos and chatting with my friends on WhatsApp. Just the usual stuff people do in their free time. Life was good back then. But then the COVID lockdown happened. We were forced to stay at home. Many professions were brought to halt, especially the dental profession. And 18 months since then, my life is great. You see, to many around me, I was wasting time. But it wasn't the case to me. I call my present life great because I get to do two things that I wanted to learn for a long time. These two things are Blender 3D and programming, to be specific, Python programming. I was introduced to 3D graphics in 2018 by a friend of mine. He has been working in 3D industry for the last 10 years. Since then, I have wanted to learn Blender 3D. I watched Blender YouTube tutorials. I used to watch the tutorials, but most of the time I didn't understand what was going on in the video. But after watching what all can be achieved with the software, it fascinated me. I would watch videos by blenderguru and cgmatter the most. I enjoyed the fast format by cgmatter a lot. By this point, I didn't actually use the software. I had just watched some videos. It was like I had read the theory, but I haven't done any practical at all. So the COVID lockdown gave me exactly the opportunity to use the software. One day during the lockdown, I watched this YouTube tutorial by cggeek, and I thought that this should be easy to follow and replicate the result. So I opened the software Blender 3D and I created this short animation following this tutorial video. Although the result was not as good as shown in the video, in the tutorial, I was hooked and I wanted to learn more. So I formulated a strategy on how to learn Blender 3D. I decided that I would first complete at least 3 beginner level tutorial series, and then I would move on to intermediate or advanced level tutorials. So I started with blenderguru's chair tutorial. After that, I completed cgfasttrack's this sword tutorial. The third one was cgboost Apple scene. I would give the tutorials my own spin. For example, in this cgfasttrack tutorial, we were supposed to make a image, but instead of making an image, I rendered out a animation. And in the cgboost Apple series, I created a bunch of pear instead of apple. If I got stuck while doing my own thing, I would go to YouTube, Google, our Blender Help subreddit, and I would ask questions on our Blender Help subreddit, and people would try and help me out with my queries. There was a time when I was not able to animate the camera in the scene the way I want. So it took me the whole night to figure out how to do it properly, and I went to sleep at 7 AM in the morning. In fact, there were times that I went to sleep at 10 AM in the morning. See, the YouTube tutorials are awesome, but many of the times you don't get all the things that you want at one place. You'll have to look for it at different places. So I bought a few paid tutorials which I thought would help me understand the topic better. I would say this course by Josh Gambrell and Ponteriu was one of the best investments that I've ever done in Blender 3D. Whatever images or videos I would render, I would send them to my brother and my friend, and I would ask them for their feedback, and they would give me their input on how to improve the scene. This went on for a while. Then one day my friend called me up saying that he's loaded with work. Would I be up for doing some freelance 3D work for him? Of course I said yes, and this is how I started getting freelance 3D work. Even today I do freelance 3D work, but that doesn't mean I've stopped performing surgeries. I do both. In fact, that is what makes it awesome. After performing surgery, I'm excited to go back home and start working on Blender 3D. I recently completed a project with a UK-based furniture company that paid me more in 2 months than what a senior lecturer at a dental school would make in a year. Anyways, this was my journey in the world of 3D design. All in all, I would say it took me around 3 months to reach the intermediate level, and around 6 months to reach where I was confident enough that I could create any scene that was given to me in 3D. And my 3D skills are not limited to these things only. I use them for surgeries also. For example, I performed a rib split surgery. I used the patient's CT scan to create a 3D model using a software called as Slicer 3D. And I printed the 3D model of the patient's jaw. I performed a mock surgery on the printed mandible. This way I was better prepared when I went into the surgery. I use 3D animation skills even for teaching. For example, I created this simple animation to explain how CT scan works. The advantage of having the knowledge of 3D is that if you don't find any graphics related to the topic, you can create the graphic yourself. That's what I do. Anyways, now we come to the second thing, Python programming. Honestly, I have always been fascinated with computers, and I wanted to learn programming since around 2005, but I never got the opportunity to learn. So around 6 months back, my friend Parth, he called me up and asked me if I knew any Python programmer. He wanted to get a Python program made to automate a task. Well, I know a lot of people in IT industry, so I asked some of my friends who knew Python, but they all declined the offer because they were busy with their jobs, and I still had some free time at hand. I asked Parth to give me 1 month's time to learn the Python language and create the program for him. Well, you can say I overestimated myself. It took me around 2 months to create the program. During these 2 months, I drowned myself in YouTube tutorials related to Python. In fact, even today I watch a lot of YouTube tutorials. Even when I'm eating, I have the YouTube tutorial on Python or Blender playing on in front of me on my phone screen. Coming back to the topic, I found these 3 YouTube channels to be the most useful. First is Code with Harry, second is Corey Schaefer, third is Tech with Tim. Also, every time I got stuck, Google and Reddit forum came to the rescue. I would post my questions on rPython or IPython help, and people would try to help me with my issue. In fact, now that I have some basic understanding of Python and Blender, I go to this forum to help other people out. So let me tell you what this program does, the program that Parth asked me to make. Every day at 5 p.m., National Stock Exchange of India releases data related to all the stocks listed on NSE. At 6 p.m., my program collects the historical data of 110 stocks, performs some calculations and generates an Excel sheet. This Excel sheet is then emailed to a predefined list of email IDs. The program takes around 2 minutes to do all of that. The thing that would have taken around 1.5 to 2 hours to do manually in Microsoft Excel, it is done automatically in 2 minutes. On top of that, I have mailed the email ID that I use on my phone as the admin ID. So I can simply add or remove an email ID from the list just by sending one email. For example, if I send add followed by the email address, send it to the email ID attached to my program, the program is going to read the email. It will see the command is to add this email ID. So it is going to add the email ID to the list. If I send remove followed by the email ID, the program is going to remove that email ID from the predefined list. I can also view the list just by sending the email view authorized list. I try to deploy this program online to Heroku so that it can keep running all the time. But the issue when I deployed the program to Heroku, for some reason Google did not allow my program to sign into my Google account. So the program was not able to read the emails. So currently I am running my program on this. If you can see this. This thing is called as Raspberry Pi 0W. It is a small size computer. It can do everything that a entry level PC can do, Windows PC can do. Best thing about it is that it runs on a mobile charger, so it is very power efficient. Anyways, coming back to Python, I try to solve my everyday problems with Python. For example, I made a program that goes through all the pages of this website and download all the predefined files one by one automatically. I didn't like the inbuilt search engine of this website, so I made a search engine for myself. The files that I downloaded from the website, they were to be sorted out according to their name, and the files were around 500 to 550 files in total. So I made a program to automatically sort the files based on the names. The thing that would have taken hours to do manually are being done within a few seconds automatically. The knowledge of Python feels like a superpower. You are just limited by your imagination. The program that I am currently working on is a Telegram bot. I can use the Telegram bot to search the meaning of a word just by typing \dict followed by the word, and it will send me the meaning of that word. I can even check the weather forecast of a city just by sending \weather followed by the city name, and it can get the weather forecast of any city in the world. I can even shorten the URL just by sending \tinyurl followed by link. I can also download YouTube videos using this bot just by sending \YT followed by the YouTube link. The YouTube video will be downloaded to my server and it will be sent to you in the chat, so you can download it to your phone or your PC. In future, I plan to add some more functionality to my Telegram bot, and these are not the only programs that I've made in the last 5 months of learning Python. This is just the tip of iceberg. From the overview, the journey so far must have looked great to you, but there were lows in my life when people around me would say things like, why are you wasting time on these things? What is the point of all these things? You should focus on your field. In fact, there was this one specific person who would say things like this to me every other day, and it affected me. Even I would have thoughts like this in my mind, but I guess my fascination for these two things was far stronger than these things. So I didn't let this negativity pull me down. Currently, I continue with my surgery practice and work on Python or Blender 3D in my free time. Let me be clear, I didn't learn these two things to earn money. I learned them because I wanted to learn. At the same time, I enjoy practicing and teaching my subject. But I also have other interests beyond oral and maxillofacial surgery. The primary reason I'm making this video is to let people know that there's nothing wrong in doing things that you like, even when that thing is totally polar opposite of what you are doing as a profession. In the end, I would like to give a huge shout out to my friend Faik and my brother Shoaib. These two people have been a huge part of this journey. It is with their support that I was able to come this far. I would also like to thank my friend Path. It is because of him that I decided to learn Python, and I didn't regret even a single second of it. I am Dr. Zibran Khan, oral and maxillofacial surgeon, a 3D artist and a Python programmer. Thank you.